Semaphore 5.10.1, our latest innovation release, expands on the current Semaphore 5.10.0 version with transformative enhancements that boost user productivity, foster semantic interoperability, and simplify knowledge management experiences. In Semaphore 5.10.1, we have increased the range of LLM providers that you can plug into Semaphore. Remember, in 5.10.0, we introduced the AI model builder, whereby you can use an external LLM to help you add narrower concepts or add alternative labels to concepts within the model. Well, now, in 5.10.1, you go to the AI Model Builder Setup panel, you can see that we have expanded the range of LLM providers accessible. And so if you have an account or setup with any of these, you can plug them into your Semaphore instance. So in Semaphore 5.10.0, we added the ability to import or export shackle constraints from a model. In 5.10.1, we've gone further and given the ability for any user, even those without knowledge of how shackle works, to impose constraints on their model. So within the class view of any model, you can select cardinality constraints on properties. On metadata items, you can impose cardinality constraints. You can also, for strings, set what minimum and maximum length of string is available, or you can even have some control over the format of these metadata items. It's possible to set the level of the constraint so that when it comes to looking at reports, you can see where the most serious constraint violations are. And those pattern restrictions are also available on labels. In Semaphore 5.10.0, we made available the scores mapping relationships and allowed users to create these mapping relationships between concepts within the same model. Merely by navigating to the mapping relationship within the structure, there's an exposed property of resources checkbox. Just check that and the relationship becomes available for selection within the model. For 5.10.1, we've added the capability so that you can now use it as an external mapping relationship. So now if you go to a concept and you are able to, within the mapping, has close mapping relationships with some external resource, and that is stored as a resource, not as any URI data type. This means that you can now use these mapping relationships to point outside the model to resources defined anywhere in your enterprise. Since Semaphore 5.8, it's been possible to add metadata to relationships within Semaphore. So for instance, we're able to say that Neil Armstrong crewed Apollo 11 between these two dates and Gemini 8 between these two dates. As from Semaphore 5.10.1, this data is now returned from the concept server. So if we go to the concept server and ask for the data about Neil Armstrong with a normal REST request, well, then we can see under the property data about crewed, we have now got those dates available to us. They're grouped in the same way as they are in the model. So you can now use this metadata relationships in downstream systems. Ever since we first released the web version of Semaphore, version 4.0, it has been possible to use settings on labels to determine how those labels are to be treated for classification and for use within SES and our concept server. So you'll notice that we've rejigged the look and feel of this page just a little in 5.10.1. So we've got classification settings on one pane and SES and concept server settings on the other pane. But in addition to that, you've now got the ability to set these settings at the label type level. So if you go to the structure pane and select your label type, that same information is accessible at the label type level. So it's possible to say that for all instances of CoSpar ID, I want case sensitivity on, I want stemming off, and now that will apply to all instances of the CoSpar ID. It's not necessary to do it on each label individually anymore. In many cases where Semaphore is being used, people want to use part of a large model within their own local model. For instance, if you've got a large reference set which you need to refer to, but you actually only want to refer to part of that reference set, then the ability to import that part of the reference set into your model could make performance a lot easier and managing the model a lot easier. So within 5.10.1, it is now possible within your reference model to select a branch of the model, select Export Concept, select to where you want to export it and where in that model you want to put it. Do you want to export all the concepts underneath it? Usually I would think so, but it's not compulsory. And now you can click the Export button and you can either navigate to the other model using this link, or I'm just going to cheat and go back to here and refresh the screen here. And we see now that that part of the model has been imported into my own local model. It's marked to show that it has been imported from the other model, but otherwise it's usable as if you'd typed it all in yourself. Whether you are enhancing existing knowledge models or embarking on new projects, Semaphore 5.10.1 better equips you with the tools required to operate with greater intelligence, speed, and efficiency.